I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're hitting all the right notes with Wayne J. DuMaine, trumpet virtuoso and author of an amazing book. It is called Mastering Sight Reading for Trumpet du Mainetudes, Book 1. Wayne shares decades of experience teaching at Juilliard, Columbia, Princeton, and his groundbreaking methods for mastering sight reading. Join us as we explore the 7 essential rules to mastering sight reading and how this book can transform your musical journey. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Wayne, great to see you. Welcome to Spotlight.
It's a pleasure to be here.
This is such an important book. I know as a professional actor, I need to know how to do a cold reading, read immediately. To be a professional musician, to advance in your career, to even get opportunities within higher education, learning how to sight read as a master is going to benefit musicians tremendously. Tell us a little bit about the book.
The book is based on building confidence in a musician and being in the right mindset when music is put onto your music stand. Many years ago, when I moved to New York and I was asked to do recording sessions, this was before laptop and computers where they would mail you the music in advance. We didn't get music. We just showed up into the studio. They would put music on the stand and you'd have to be able to play that as if you've played it 1,000 times. They would just tell you what trumpets to bring a cornet, bring a flugelhorn, bring mutes, and you would have to play what was on that stand as if you've played it thousands of times. So years ago, sometime around 1984, when I was still in St. Louis, there's an amazing trumpet player named David Hickman, who gave a class at the school I was attending at the time, the St. Louis Conservatory, on sight reading and how to become a great sight reader. And he talked about keeping your eyes ahead of where you're reading. He talked about making sure you look at the key signatures and all the stuff that I put into my book. He was on a whole nother level with that. But when I was at that class, I was like, wow, no one's ever told me that. And so what I did was I went into the practice room way back then. And every practice session I ever had, I would put something on the stand and train myself to look a measure ahead of where I'm reading and play the music as if I'd played it before. So I've been doing this for a long time. But not until I looked into my file cabinet and noticed I have tons of music that I've written and tons of etudes that I've written for my students throughout the years. And then I was offered to write etudes for the music advancement program at the Juilliard School. They asked me, hey, can you write some music for our students? And I don't know if you know about the music advancement program. It was founded many years ago for African-American and Hispanic students who didn't have music in their schools to come to Juilliard School on a Saturday and get lessons on your instrument, play in an orchestra, chamber music. It was a really amazing program. So they asked me to write 12 etudes. I wrote 12 etudes, and I just fell in love with the compositional aspect of what I was writing. So I ended up writing 46.
Wow.
And after I wrote 46, I decided, you know what? These are perfect for developing sight reading. And so what I did was I came up with 7 different rules and regulations of what you have to do before you read one of these etudes. And the first rule is basically you just look at the key signature, see if there's any key signature changes within the piece. Number 2 is you look at the time signature, see if the time signature is the same, and understanding what 4/4 is, 3/4, 6/8, 7/8, odd meter etudes. It's crazy. The 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 3, 1/2. All that. It's absolutely incredible. Number 3 is looking at the dynamics in the etude. Do you play loud here? Do you play soft? Is it really loud? Is it really soft? Is it, are there crescendos where you're going from piano to forte, back to piano? And I talk about that in the book. We exaggerate those dynamics. If it's really forte, you're really playing nice and strong. If it's soft, you're playing soft. The 4th rule is articulations. That means, are there slurs? Are we connecting all the notes? Staccato? Are we playing legato? Are we going do 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 do? It's written, and I have all kinds of different articulations in these etudes, accents, playing something really strong. Bop, bop, at the beginning of the note as a trumpeter, you have to have that nice strong front to your notes. Mm-hmm. So I have all of these in all of the in the etudes. So once you look at those four aspects, the fifth one is you look at the etude and you look at the fastest notes in the etude, so that you choose a tempo when you start playing it. When you get to those faster notes, you don't want to slow down and take another tempo. You want to choose a tempo that you can play through it and make it sound as if you've played it over and over again. Now, number 6 is the most important one, and this is the issue I've had with so many students. When they're reading something and they make a mistake, they stop and go back and fix it. And this is the rule where you make the mistake, you keep going. And I say it over and over again. It's like driving a car. You hit a pothole, you don't put the car in reverse and go back and miss the pothole. You keep going, and then when you're done, you go back and say, okay, and measure 2 after, measure rehearsal C, I missed that note, or I played this in the wrong key, or whatever. And then number 7 is you keep your eyes ahead of where you're reading in these etudes, so that you see what's coming. And when you see what's coming, your ability to make a mistake is almost zero, because you see what's coming up, you know what's happening. So you have to just train yourself to read ahead. So those are the 7 rules. And then you look at the etude, look it over, make sure you have everything covered, choose a tempo, and you go. And and each etude is different. There's some that are lyrical, as if you're singing an opera. There's some that are just super fast with 16th notes, so you can, so you can like play fast. There's things in 7/8 time, 5/8. There's leaps where you're playing high note, low note, and you play, in this register, and you're going down, and it's kind of all over the place. The book is loaded with every issue that all of my students have ever had. And it was a lot of fun to write. And I'm actually almost done with the second one. I have another book of almost 50, because it's been so much fun to do. And I've given master classes recently promoting this book. And these college students get up in front of people and they do the rules and they play it, and they understand, it teaches them to, whenever you put the instrument to your face to play, that you are entertaining. People don't want to hear you make a mistake or roll your eyes, and they want to see you enjoying yourself. And if you can put yourself in the mindset to play anything, anytime, anywhere that's put on that music stand, this book will help you develop those skills and the mindset to be successful.
Your students are blessed to have you as an instructor, for sure, because you explain things so well, so clearly, so simply, so forthrightly. I don't think I've ever listened to another professional or professor explain things so well. So that was great. So let me just so now, if you're not your student, people have the opportunity to pick up the book and learn from you and everything that you've described. And as you were talking and breaking it down into these 7 essential rules for mastering sight reading, it made me think that by mastering these rules, you're becoming a better musician, because you're creating the music in your head as you're reading it. I mean, I think that's probably one of your first steps when you're looking at the music, is that you're envisioning it, or, sounding it out in your head, right?
Absolutely. And each etude, has a label. One is called 6/8 Madness. One is called 16th Rest. They all have, random staccatissimo, where everything is short, meter change, fun. They're loaded. One is all legato. One is in a fanfare style, where, with trumpet, you have to, you have to get that sound going. When it says fanfare, you have to play it in a fanfare style. So each one, yes, has a different label and style to it. So yes, when you're playing it, you do want to create a mood. You want to bring the music to life. And I wrote it, I didn't want the etudes to be too hard to play. I could have easily have written them to be unplayable, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was to keep it simple, keep it playable, and develop patience, because there are some that are really slow too. And that's another aspect of a young musician, teaching them how to play super slow and be patient and not rush. And, I put long rests, and they have to count the rests without playing before playing the next note. So there's every aspect that you can imagine is covered in this book. But yes, each etude has a different idea, goal that's very clear and very simple and fun. That's the best part, is they're fun to play.
Exactly. These aren't just platitudes, these are concrete rules, and it makes it very easy to digest. Tell us about your second book. Where will that pick up from, and what will that cover?
Okay, well, the second book is basically, I've taught many students from scratch. Mm-hmm. And, teaching them how to play long notes, how to breathe, how to do specific things. My next book is simply called Fundamentals. Mm-hmm. And I've developed so many warm-ups for trumpet players. The first time you pick the instrument out of your case, the first notes that you were going to play should be some type of soft, long warm-up that's, slow. You develop a beautiful sound. And so I have about 20 or 25 of those different types of warm-ups where you're playing whole notes, slow, long notes, and then you play it again with half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes. It gets faster and faster. You develop, that's what your warm-up is. When I've played in many Broadway shows, played at the Metropolitan Opera, and I would always do a warm-up. If I didn't do a warm-up before I go on the stage in a costume at the Met Opera, I wouldn't feel comfortable with what was going to come out of the horn. So I always develop warm-ups for myself before going into the pit at the Met, or before going into a pit playing The Music Man or King and I or South Pacific. I was always doing a warm-up. And when I was done with that warm-up, I was ready to go. I was like, okay, I did it. I know it's going to sound great. And that's what's in this next book. Just, developing, once again, a mindset that if you play these warm-ups before you play anything, like every morning, you'll be great. When I was at Juilliard many years ago, the first rule I made for myself was to find a practice room and be there at 7 a.m. every morning to warm up before you would do anything during the day. And some of the warm-ups that I developed back then are in this book. So there's 4 parts to the next book. The second part is basically what I would give my students in their first or second year, small little 8-measure etudes in every major key, every sharp major key, every flat major key, every sharp harmonic minor key, and every flat harmonic minor key, just so that you can hear the key signature in your head. You play these etudes and you understand how it sounds in F sharp major, how it sounds in C minor, how something sounds with 7 sharps or 7 flats, which is rare. You're not going to see that a lot in music, but that's what the second part is. And they're super simple again. The third part of the book is our intervals. And a lot of students have issues with intervals. And what intervals are, hold on a second, it's the distance between each note. So in music, a minor second is basically, it's really hard to explain if you're not a musician. A minor second is just like the next available note. Hold on a second. So a minor second interval is like this. Major second gets a little bit wider. Minor third. Major third. Perfect fourth. A tritone sounds, they call this the devil tone. It's crazy. Perfect fifth. And then so on and so forth. So I wrote so many etudes based on each interval. And so there's tons of it. And these are really challenging. And a lot of people, if I asked them to play a tritone, wouldn't know how to do it. So this is going to train the musician to understand when you're reading something. If you see a minor 6 coming up, if you know your intervals, you'll have a better time reading something and understanding how music works. So that's the third part of the book. So there's a whole bunch of etudes like that. And then the fourth part are etudes that I wrote in simply major key, minor key, augmented, which is augmented as the major would be, minor is augmented is, and then diminished is. So I wrote these etudes with those 4 ideas in mind, and it's been really cool. It's a big book. It's a thick book. It's going to be a lot more pages than this, but I'm very excited to get it out there because there's so many books that I grew up with, and I mastered them and I understood them and I got kind of bored with them. And when I was teaching, I would just write my own etudes for my students. If a student had an issue, I would write them something, handwrite it. Quick handwriting. I still have my penmanship, you know, thank the Lord. But it's that's going to be my next book. So it's ready to go. I'm just editing like crazy because there's so much editing when you write a book. You don't want to ever put anything out with a mistake in it. So that's what I'm doing now. So it's going to be a really great book, and I can't wait to get it out there.
Wonderful. If you're looking to up your trumpet game, these are the books for you. Clear, concise, on target, written by the best in the business. The name of the book we've been focusing on mostly today is called Mastering Sight Reading for Trumpet du Mainetudes, Book 1. Wayne shares his decades of experience teaching at Juilliard, Columbia, Princeton, and other schools, and his groundbreaking methods for mastering sight reading. It is a game changer for a musician. It'll take you from novice to pro in no time. It really is amazing. I think all of the rules you explained today kind of also translate to every other performing arts as well. Just keep on going, remember your audience, and play it as smoothly as possible. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
It was a pleasure to meet you. This was a lot of fun, and I hope I was clear and concise. I get a little fast when I talk, but it was fun. I had a great time.
I'm glad you had fun. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.